Take a look around you. Everything you see has a story behind it. Naturally, some are more interesting than others. Maybe it's creation, its destruction, or even its inspiration. In this week's show, we're taking a local look behind the scenes to answer the question, how'd they do that? Our jumping off point has to do with a bouncy business endeavor. Pickleball is a popular pastime, and Naples business is banking on its success.
There's nobody else that has that can manufacture, sell their paddles in the same facility, and that has pickleball courts in the same facility. So it's very unique in that way, and we're really proud to be here in Naples, Florida.
Next up, imagine the complexity involved in relocating a nearly 100-year-old house. Even a short trip requires delicate planning. We'll break it down in Moving History. Then, if you live in Southwest Florida, you've no doubt enjoyed some Norman Love chocolates. Colorful confections they are. Did you ever wonder how'd they do that? We'll have those stories along with the latest in our Positively Healthy Medical series. I'm Amy Osher, and this is Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. Pickleball is touted as one of the fastest growing sports in this country, and Southwest Florida continues to benefit from its success. Home to the game's Open Championship, the sport's rapid rise is also giving a local business a bounce. Naples-based Pickle Pro set up shop here to provide players with something they really need to give this game a shot. That would be the pickleball paddle, and they showed us how they do it.
Okay, so our paddles, they start off with an aluminum composite material, this 4x8 sheet right here. And one of the first things that we do with this is we apply vinyl, a printed vinyl material. Back here, we have a sample of what the panel looks like after we've applied the vinyl to it. And of course, we make this in several different patterns. And we actually print this vinyl right here in the shop. Next, we stack up the panels that have been printed and laminated with our laminating machine over here. The next process is to take our sheets that have been printed and laminated into our CNC machine room, where they're going to be cut out into the shape of a paddle. And we've just fired up the CNC machine, and it's going to go around and cut 42 paddles. Now we're going to move into our shipping and assembly area, and I'll show you how the paddles are assembled. What we do in the assembly area is we apply the shape to the handle. And this is basically a hard styrofoam and fiberglass material. It's really hard to crush it. We apply an adhesive on the backs of these, so when they come in here, you just break one off and just stick it on each side of the paddle. Then we apply a little bit of tape, hold it in place, and an end cap. The next process is to put the edging on, and this is one of our edgeless paddles. So we have several processes that we use, and the workers apply this very thin edge onto our barricade paddles. And this is the paddle that gives you the player advantage, so it has a really big sweet spot, especially around the edge, where if you hit it on the edge, the ball's still going to go straight. Then after we do that, we're the only ones in the world that have a grip that is not tape. So we have this heat shrink tubing. It's a non-slip tubing that we put over the top of each paddle. We place these into a jig and we get them staged for heat shrinking. This is a machine that was originally designed to shrink the foil on top of a wine bottle, but we've adapted this machine for our industry for this process. So it comes through the machine with these tubes all in place. We do this, we pass it through here 2 or 3 times. So now we're going to let this cool off. And once it cools off, then we'll trim the edge off, and then the paddle will be finished.
It's It's a difficult thing to navigate, moving ahead with progress without paving over the past. Recently, it became an issue on Fort Myers Beach. Developers wanted to build on a piece of property that was already home to one of the island's historic cottages. So in the dark of night, they moved the nearly 100-year-old cottage down the road and over a bridge. Once it's restored, the beach house is expected to travel to its final resting place on the island. So how do you move an old house? Well, very carefully.
We set it up probably about just over 3 feet, and once we got the wheels under it, we actually set it up and staged it to drive out onto Stero. We set it up for midnight on Sunday night, perfect time. Roads were empty as they could probably be, and it took us about an hour and a half to drive from 3360 Estero just up over the bridge onto the other side on San Carlos Island. I do enjoy the island as its character of what it originally was. So, of course, as a developer that does enjoy building new buildings and new structures on the island, and is part of how I make my money, I wanted to also save that character. And with the approach of the Historical Society wanting to save it, the project sounded like a great project. It looked like it was going to be fairly easy. So saving that character was everything. It was everything about what Fort Myers Beach is about. So I felt that it would bring the community together, and I felt that was important. And I wanted to see the community come together because I am a developer, and I'm probably a well-known person on the island for putting up new buildings and taking down some of the old ones. I felt that we needed to do this to bring that community together, to make everybody realize it's not all about taking down those old structures, and it is about keeping the character.
Candy maker Norman Love set out to make chocolates that are a feast for the eyes as well as the palate. And that he does. With bright, swirly designs, his confections are almost, but not quite, too pretty to eat. We went behind the scenes to see the secret of how they do that. This is the Candy Kitchen in Fort Myers, where each batch is carefully made by hand. They have it down to a science, mixing and pouring the chocolate concoctions. Each variety looks hand-painted, and they are in a sense. The confectionery artist airbrushed designs onto silicone trays before pouring in the chocolate candy. The edible colors dry on the chocolate, which looks like this once they're finished and put on display. When we come back, waking up with a mystery ailment that makes common movements almost impossible. Doctors have a name for it and a treatment. We'll show you how they do it in this week's Positively Healthy. That's after the break.
The patients come in with terrible pain and stiffness of the shoulders and hips and neck.
Life here is amazing, and so is the joint care. At the Total Joint Center at Physicians Regional Healthcare System, we've changed the experience of joint replacement for good. With our comprehensive joint care program, most hip and knee replacement patients return home in just 2 days, because we know you want to get on with your active life. Pain-free living starts at Physicians Regional Medical Center, Collier Boulevard, and Physicians Regional Medical Center, Pine Ridge.
Hiring the right moving company is important. Best Moving and Storage is a family-owned and operated business serving Southwest Florida for over 22 years. From our free in-home estimate until the last piece of furniture is in your new place or stored in our climate-controlled warehouse, we treat you like family. Best Moving and Storage is fully licensed and insured, with all of our employees being certified drivers and packers. When it comes to protecting your treasured belongings, choose a company that's experienced and trustworthy. Call Best Moving and Storage today at 239-592-6565.
My name is Steve Unser, and cabinetry is my specialty. I have been creating custom designed cabinetry for 20 years in Southwest Florida. And now I am celebrating the grand opening of our new Naples showroom. Steve Unser Cabinetry will help you design your kitchen, bath, or home office with stunning results, offering the best quality of cabinets with a wide variety of design options and pricing to fit any budget. If your kitchen isn't becoming to you, you should be coming to us. Now 2 locations to serve you.
Polymyalgia rheumatica. Never heard of it? Well, few people have. And so many times people who have it are slow to get a diagnosis. This week's Positively Healthy looks at this relatively unknown condition. For a chronic condition that affects an estimated 700,000 older adults, it's a wonder patients are still surprised to learn of it.
One of the areas that I take care of a lot of patients is called polymyalgia rheumatica.
Dr. Alan Goodwin is a rheumatologist with Physicians Regional Medical Group. He's very familiar with the diagnosis.
It's an inflammatory process of the body where the patient can have sudden or slow onset of pain, stiffness involving 2 out of the following 3 areas: neck, shoulders and arms, hips and thighs. And it can be debilitating. The patient may wake up one morning with severe difficulty getting out of bed.
Symptoms come on fast and furious. People may feel it in their muscles, but it's actually the joints which are in play. If left untreated, there's a small risk of serious complications.
These patients can have associated temporal arteritis, which is the most common form of vasculitis in adults. And the risk of that is blindness.
A few red flags point to polymyalgia rheumatica. First, it's mostly found in people over 50. It involves shoulder pain on both sides and morning stiffness lasting longer than 45 minutes. A new onset of hip pain and no swelling in the small joints of the hands and feet. These may be indications to seek help from a rheumatologist.
The patients come in with terrible pain and stiffness of the shoulders and hips and neck, some of them. And it's very easily treated. It's a chronic disease, but we can manage it.
Low-dose corticosteroids offer most patients a rapid response, alleviating symptoms very quickly. They may stay on meds for up to a year or longer. 60% will never have another flare-up. An Italian architect is planning something special for the waters off Collier County. If all goes as planned, a turtle-shaped artificial reef will be submerged off Gordon Pass, attracting underwater tourists and sea life alike. The Turtle Reef is the latest addition to the county's offshore reef collection, joining a string of others making up the Paradise Coast Artificial Reef Project. The reefs range from 10 to 29 miles out in the Gulf, providing the framework for a lush underwater habitat. Sandwiched between 4 other reefs, the artistically inspired turtle is destined to be a focal point.
And it's going to be using thousands of pounds of concrete that was otherwise destined for the Collier County landfill. Instead of going to the landfill, they're going to be dropped about 17 miles off the coast of Gordon Pass. And it's been about 2 years since the first artificial reefs for Collier County's reef project were thrown in the water, and already fishermen are seeing species of fish that they've never seen before in this area, including whale sharks, lots of Goliath grouper, and all sorts of other species.
You can read more about the various reefs and their locations by checking out Greg Stanley's story at naplesnews.com. Okay, it's time to lob things over to the newsroom to uncover what our reporters are covering on the beat.
Thanks, Amy. I'm Harriet Heighthouse, arts and entertainment writer for the Naples Daily News. And I got my first trumpet hand-me-down from my brother. But a lot of parents like to buy a new instrument for their child. That's going to be harder now that 2 music stores in our area have closed. Why? What happened? Read about it in today's Naples Daily News and naplesnews.com.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric Statz. I'm the environment reporter at the Naples Daily News. I recently wrote a story about an innovative project that's going on at the Naples Zoo in cooperation with Florida Power and Light. The power company is installing a series of solar panels on top of parking structures at the zoo parking lot that will not only generate solar power enough to run about 200 classrooms, but also will provide some much needed shade for zoogoers. This project is funded by the little voluntary Solar Now checkoff box that you see on your power bill, and will be finished by November. To check out this story, go to naplesnews.com.
Hi, I'm Ashley Collins. I'm a reporter with the Collier Citizen. This past week I got a chance to connect with 2 families who rescued 2 stray dogs in the Everglades. This was actually in May in the Big Cypress National Preserve area off of US 41, where a mother and daughter saw these two rescue dogs, and then another couple in an RV, they were visiting the Everglades from California. They also stopped and helped them out. One of the dogs was a little bit harder to handle, so they had to call in the domestic animal services to get the dog in a shelter. And now they both have safe homes. For more on this story, visit NaplesNews.com.
One last stop, it's Brent Batten with his weekly commentary. Brent?
Thanks, Amy. You may be wondering, what's the big deal about this Key Marco cat? That's what I wondered 20 years ago when it first came on loan from the Smithsonian to the Collier County Museum. I mean, it's 6 inches tall, made of wood, and has no precious metals or rare jewels. At first glance, it looks like something your kid might carve with a Boy Scout knife at wilderness camp. But take a closer look. It actually does look like a cat with a human body. The artist had to have some skills to pull that off, and that artist carved the wood with tools probably made of shark's teeth. When was the last time you made anything useful with a shark tooth tool? Then consider the piece is probably 1,000 years old, maybe 1,500 years. How many pieces of wood from 1,500 years ago are still pieces of wood? Experts say the artist may have rubbed the piece with animal fat to help preserve it. Then it was buried in an oxygen-free layer of muck for 10 centuries before being found on Marco Island by archaeologist Frank Hamilton Cushing in 1895. It has been in the care of the Smithsonian ever since. It will make a return trip to Collier County as a 2-year loan to the Marco Island Historical Society Museum beginning in 2018. To display the cat, the museum will need to build a special climate-controlled case with added security. The Key Marco cat is more than a 6-inch piece of wood. It tells us about the Calusa culture that occupied Marco Island more than 1,000 years ago, how it was more than just a collection of hunter-gatherers, but was a complex society with arts and rituals and commerce. So in its own way, the Key Marco cat really is a big deal. I'm Brent Batten. Be sure to read my columns on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays in the Naples Daily News. Check me out on Twitter and Facebook. And as always, thanks for watching.
When we come back, tasty trends for the kitchen, the latest in our Inspired Living design series. That's ahead on Behind the Headlines.
As you can see here, she's done a beautiful job. There's the backsplash, is a muted, kind of a flat finish, and it transitions beautifully with the gray tones in the granite.
For a better lifestyle, shop Bears.
Bears has been in business for 70 years. We're really proud of that. Whatever look you want for your home, whether it's Pan-Asian, contemporary, tropical, coastal, cottage, Bears will have it for you. Bears promises to give you the best value for your money. We'll have what you want and we'll make you happy. That's the Bear family promise.
The area's only 30 minutes or less ER service pledge means you'll find less waiting for the care you need. And because we're full-service hospitals, a lot more care if you need it. Less waiting, faster care. Only at Physicians Regional Healthcare System.
Is your auto insurance keeping pace with your life? Ask for a AAA Triple Check Insurance Review to see if your current policy is still a good fit. An agent will assess changes in your life, like new vehicles or drivers. Make sure you've got the right coverage and all the discounts you deserve. They'll also see how a AAA membership can round out your protection on the road. Plus, provide roadside assistance, discounts, free services, and vacation extras. Ask for your AAA Triple Check today.
It's said the kitchen is the heart of the home, and it's becoming more and more important as we spend so much time there, cooking, eating, and entertaining. In this week's Inspired Living, Bears design expert Kathy Smith shares the recipe for an up-to-date kitchen. My good friend Kathy and I are back at Vista Point in the Vineyards at their lovely Bears model home, and we wanted to kind of look at the kitchen. It's one of my favorite places. Yep. I think a challenge for people is sometimes picking out the granite or whatever surface they want and matching it with their backsplashes.
Exactly. As you can see here, she's done a beautiful job. There's the backsplash, is a muted, kind of a flat finish, and it transitions beautifully with the gray tones in the granite.
And I noticed too, it goes all the way up. It's not the little short backsplash that
no,
you
it
used to see.
doesn't. It needs to go all the way up. When you're doing a transitional design like this, it needs to go all the way up. And you can get a shiny backsplash or a matted and she chose the matted, which I think is perfect.
Very nice. And you can't help but notice the hardware, and I think people sometimes fall a little flat on that. It doesn't match the rest of the design
style. The hardware,
style.
yeah, you have to take into account in any design the entire design plan, which is very, I mean, it looks like when you walk into a room, everything goes, and you don't understand the design behind it,
the thought
the details,
that went into that.
the thought and the details. This is a transitional brush nickel. As Janet had said to me before, she keeps in mind that older people sometimes with the knobs, they have trouble, so she chose the handle, the pull handle, which is easier.
And they really have to match and complement everything else in the room.
And everything else
Your
in the whole
surfaces,
design
though?
plan. Yeah, that has to match the sink fixture as well as the stainless steel appliances that you see behind us. It all coordinates.
I also want to look at the color choices she chose here, and we didn't stick with one color.
No, she did a contrast middle island, which is, transitions into the other two rooms on either side of us. The darker kind of a charcoal on both those rooms. The eye travels very nicely into that, as well as the drapery.
Well, it's really nice. And the kitchen's just become such an important room to us all, though. Who doesn't love to hang out in the kitchen, right?
Everybody does.
Thanks for being with us. We'll leave you this morning with a trick of the trade. Ever wonder how to get one of those fancy updos like you see celebrities sporting on the red carpet? Local hairstylist Amy Handy is sharing one of her secrets, a simple style you can do in under 15 minutes.
We're going to start with a high ponytail. If you're having trouble getting your high pony, just tip your head upside down. It definitely doesn't have to be perfect, but a cute high ponytail is exactly what you want to start with. Again, your teasing brush, hair powder is great here too. Something to say about the hair powder, hold it far away. A good 12 inches is exactly what you need so you don't get a ton of residue all over the hair. But I like the hair powder because it gives it a little extra texture. So we've got our cute high pony. You can smooth out any bumps that you want with your teasing brush. Now, the teasing is the fun part. This eliminates the need for that donut that some people like to use, which are great. But if you don't have a donut, what do? So you use the teasing method with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and leave it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what you're doing is you're creating your own little donut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to look like a big old mess, but I promise it's not hard to brush out at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now while you have your big cushion, take your teasing brush and smooth it down. It's just going to give you the outside of your bun. Then I like to take a tiny little bit of hairspray, smooth that over. Smooth it with your hands, and look, you've got your cushion. Grab it by the end. All of a sudden, you've got your own little donut. You're going to twist it, push it down so it's in that good shape. And just like we did the other bun, you're going to just take the ends, tuck it into the ponytail holder, and you've got your cute little top knot. You can take your bobby pins, secure it in there, and this is perfect for a beach day, a sundress, and a glass of wine. Got your cute little top knot, just like that.
That's a wrap for this edition of Behind the Headlines. Hope you enjoyed our behind-the-scenes segments. We're going to slow roll this one out with a look behind the scenes of our news operation. You can always catch up on past editions or rewatch episodes of this show by going to naplesnews.com. On the left-hand side under Quick Links, select Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. See you back here next week.